Welcome back to another episode of Cactus Quest. I'm your host Hunter, and in today's episode, we're gonna be doing a little exploration. There's a greenhouse behind me, and now for those of you that have seen the last couple of videos I put out, I dropped a video of one of my favorite plants in my collection, that beautiful Columna alba, and I talked about how special it is, and indeed it is absolutely special. The greenhouse behind me, however, is literally filled to the brim with specimens that are like that, and really, honestly, in some cases even crazier. So it's jaw-dropping stuff, and I'm really excited to do it. We're in Los Angeles, California, a city that's known for a lot of things.
Mr. President, Los Angeles has been devastated by a series of tornadoes.
Los Angeles is a desert community.
But today it's known for being the place where you have the Copiapoa connection. And so one of the good things is that not only are you guys gonna get to see all this awesome stuff, but in the beginning of this coming month, you might actually have a chance to come out and hang out with me and John, who I'm gonna be shooting the video with, and actually buy some of these plants. So I'm not gonna tease you too much longer. We're gonna go ahead and hop in there. So John, introduce yourself to the people.
Yeah, Johnny, LA Cactus Connection.
On Instagram, are you just on Instagram?
Just on Instagram right now.
That wasn't you on TikTok? I saw dancing around with the
No. Maybe soon.
All right, well, so make sure you guys follow them, and if you're not already, make sure you follow, subscribe, send the video to your grandma and everybody that you know. Even if they don't like plants, let's try to get them hooked on this stuff, you know what I'm saying? But let's go ahead and hop into the greenhouse. First of all, just tell me a little bit, tell me a little bit about yourself. How long have you been doing the cactus thing?
Sure. Started collecting cactus during COVID. And then around 2021, found my way to Copiapoa, and it's been an obsession ever since. Collecting specimens wherever we can find them, and now you're seeing the results.
Yeah. All right. Well, look. Let's get in here. I've been in this greenhouse once before, but it was a while back, and it certainly has filled out quite a bit since the last time I was here. So I haven't actually stepped in here yet since I've been here today. So we're going to be seeing this stuff for the first time. So I'll let you lead the way, dude.
Sure. So the collection you're seeing here.
First of all, I mean, just look. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
That's all right. The collection you're seeing here is the one that we just recently got. Almost all of these plants were grown in the full sun on the coast.
Nice.
Yeah, probably one of the best collections that I've ever seen.
Dude.
And yeah, I mean,
Oh my
you see
God.
the farina on these.
Now these were, you said, on the coast of
Spain.
Spain.
Yeah.
Look at that, man. That is actually truly exceptional. I mean, I think that it's what it is. These plants respond best to torture.
Yeah.
You know? Oh my God. Okay, so honestly, I'm having a little bit. It's like for anybody that plays first-person shooter video games, and you end up you come across the spawn and there's 4 guys, and you kind of get trigger panic. You don't even know who to shoot at. That's kind of how I feel right now. I'm looking at all this, and I mean, what in the world, bro? So do you know how much? Yeah, I know. Well, again, we could just go from pointing at plants. That one right there is crazy. That I'm assuming these are Cineraria and Columna albas that I'm looking at mostly here.
Yeah.
That one's nuts, and then this one, holy moly, that is incredibly compact. And so these were grown in full sun. Do you know much more about how he actually grew them aside from just they were in full sun?
Yeah, this guy's been growing for a long time, and he's at an expert level. He was actually pushing them a little bit of water daily, and then the full sun. So
did he have them on a drip system or something?
Yeah, had him on a drip
Interesting.
system. No water on the skin other than the fog from the coast. Just giving them a little bit of water and then letting them press all day. And a little bit of cloud cover here and there, but generally pretty hot.
I wonder if that was did you know if he did the little bit of water year round, or was that seasonal to some degree, or?
I don't know if it was year round.
Probably, I would imagine when in the colder weather, he probably pulled back on that.
Down a little bit, yeah.
Oh, I'm so curious how much water that is, a little water. Because that's, you got to think, like, when you see, have you seen photos of these in habitat when they're like after they've been hit with the fog?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they are wet. Like, there's water dripping off the spines and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, that's actually an interesting way of doing it, but I'd be curious to know. Good Lord, look at the spines on this one.
Yep.
This is where, with collecting these things, like, you can say, oh, well, don't you already have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of those? Yes, but when you look at all of the different, like, architectural forms of these things and just the geometry of them, I mean, each one has its own individual, I can't even talk anymore. Each one has its own individual characteristics. It's like really kind of like amazing to see them.
Localities, phenotypes.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Like, look at this, dude.
That's why a lot of people say, oh, why Copiapoa? You know, and it's like when you get to see it like this and you see all the different faces that can come out of just Cinerea or Columna alba.
Yeah.
You know, I hear a lot of people say, oh, I have a Cinerea. I don't need a Cinerea, right? The second that you get to see the wide variety, then collecting them, breeding them, making seed from all these different types, you know, you start to see what you can do with them. And for me, that's the most impressive part.
I literally, whatever this one is, this is Cinerea, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have, I'll send you pictures of it. I have one that's got to be from the same locality. It's like identical spine color. And I actually have had people trying to tell me it's not Cinerea. I'm like, nah, I can't, believe me when I tell you it's Cinerea. The person I got it from, it got it from somebody that is actually, you know, for better or for worse, it was field seed. So it's like, no, it is absolutely Cinerea.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, like, that's Cinerea, and then so is this. I mean, that is such a cool looking plant too. Like the aerials are so, not the aerials, the ribs are like so pronounced.
Yeah.
Man. And it's still, even though it's chalky, it still sort of looks purple, which is pretty wild.
Yeah, the way that he grew them, he could still grow them to size and produce the farina. It was almost like this process of pushing them and replenishing them daily.
Right.
And I mean, you could almost see the farina growing on them while we were there.
Yeah.
You know, so the grow technique was definitely impressive.
Now, I have a friend who has been in multiple videos on the channel, but he recently built a shade structure. I'll probably end up doing a video and showing you guys. But what he's gonna do is he's moving all of his seedlings and a lot of his even larger flowering sized Copiapoas out into that shade structure just to allow them to get pretty much everything. Because really here, I mean, I know this is not applicable for everyone across the country or across the world for that matter, but here in Southern California, I always try to remind myself, like, not to take it for granted because we have just an exceptional climate. And like really with this past little bit of rain that we've had this winter, I literally found myself in the greenhouse thinking, I wish I could just take everything outside right now because they would all love it. I mean, I don't think there was anything in my greenhouse that would have had a hard time like taking all of his winter rain this year. Really, I don't.
Yeah.
Maybe some pseudolithos or something. But
the plan is we've got a hoop house going up, and the plan is to move this collection outside so that we can maintain the farina and keep them growing like they are.
yeah,
But when they come in, I usually like to give them a gentle touch.
this one's
And-
defective right here, bro. It doesn't have any
No
spines.
spines, yeah.
Golly, man.
The forms on these.
So this is like,
Alba.
yeah, for sure. I have one that looks very much like this. It's much smaller, but I got it from Blando. It's the same tight, compact ribbing, the same kind of like, the same clear, not clear, but like more Alba Spina looking spines.
Yeah, translucent.
And you know what's crazy too? So this is something that maybe people don't realize about the plants, and I can't wait to show you guys these things in habitat at some point. But one of the things that you don't realize is that even with a plant like the one I just showed you that has more blonde or amber colored spines, with that fog, what ends up happening is you get lichen and mold that'll grow and build up on the plant. And so even with some of those plants that might have like lighter colored spines, they'll turn black over time from that exposure to the climate. So obviously in cultivation, that doesn't typically happen, although it certainly could. I mean,
You do see some where the spines come out that way, and then as they move down the cactus, they turn black.
this is exceptional right here. This thing I'm aiming at, this one right here.
Oh yeah.
It's like teal, And then the color, it's got like the tortoise shell sunglasses rim colored spines. Look at that, dude. We can get you and the plant in the picture. Holy moly, dude. So is that Alba or Cinerea?
That's Alba, yeah. Big guy.
I know. I'm starting to have like little heart palpitations, dude. I might have to go to the ER after this.
But I mean, you can just see the difference. I mean, the black thick spine on this one, with the pup coming out of the top.
This year, I have a handful of plants that flowered for the first time. And like, that is an exciting moment, dude.
Getting them to sync up can be a challenge. During the warmer months, you know, with this many plants, we get a ton of flowers, so we have a lot of opportunities. But you know, if you only have 10, trying to produce seed it can be very tough.
Yeah. You know, though, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't know how many flowering Cinereas I have at the moment. I have a handful, not tons and tons. Certainly nothing like this. But I get things flowering. I don't have a ton. I probably have like 4 or 5 flowering Cinereas, and I'll at least always have 2 flowering at the same time. Yeah. Delbadas are hard to get to sync up, which is weird. You know, that actually makes me wonder. I was telling you earlier how with my Delbada seed, it's like the one Copiapoa that growing from seed I have trouble germinating. Maybe they're selfing. Maybe because the flowers aren't syncing up, they're like selfing, and so they're making seeds on their own, and maybe the seeds are infertile because of that. I don't know. It's just something I just thought of right now. Okay. I feel like I could do this and then come back tomorrow and do it again and see everything like differently. Yeah, I don't even know. It's like hard to even. Which one do I zero in on? Okay, hold on. You guys, I don't know if you guys are like freaking out the same way I am, but I'm starting to sweat. So.
Deep breath.
Just gonna take a moment to get zen. Okay, all right, we're back. All right, the moment of peace is gonna carry me through the rest of this, where I can stay calm, because this is like it's sort of like being at Disneyland in some weird way. There's just no rides, you know, but the excitement level is definitely up there. Holy moly. Okay, so do you have like, are there some in here that the certain forms that you look at that are just standing out to you at the moment? I'm not gonna even ask favorite, but that are like standouts at the moment that you look at and you go, man, every time I walk in here.
Alba, especially Panda Sukar, Columna Albas, I really like. KK611, Esmeralda, you know, some of these other really white Panda Sukar, Columna
Okay,
Albas.
so tell me, these 2
are Esmeralda.
Okay.
Esmeraldana.
That's the locality. And then what about this guy here? Do you know off top?
This one I don't know off the top of my head.
God, that is knobby. Look at that thing. These are all so nice looking, man.
Panda Sukar. Some of the ones in the back have tags. This is Melena hystrix, which is a rare form, Columna alba.
I have one. It's this big, and I got it from this old guy who actually lives not far from us. He's an old Czech guy. The first time I met him, he was in a Speedo, and I went to his house. He's in a Speedo the entire time I was there. It was pretty incredible. But he's an awesome guy. He gave me a little tiny seedling, and he said, Melena hystrix, it's the most beautiful Copiapoa there is. Which,
Couple in there.
Whoa.
Columna albas. That's spiral mutation, Japanese Columna alba.
Wow.
Las Madura crested.
Hold on. I gotta get a little better.
You
That
figured
is
it out.
wild. That's wild, dude.
I've only seen one of these come up to size. This is the second biggest one I've ever seen. There's a larger one about this size that I've seen, and it's started to look a little weird over time. But this, you know, we're gonna try and grow it and see if we can get that full mutation. And
It'll be interesting to see too if you can keep these to stay inermis.
yeah,
For the long haul. I had some plants that I got. I kept a few and I sold a few that were inermis that I had gotten from Mesa Garden. And dude, I literally repotted it, and I didn't water it or anything. Just a simple act of repotting it, it started growing spines. I was like, you gotta be kidding me, dude.
I had the same experience. I thought
So
I got
bummed,
one
dude.
spineless, and then yeah, same thing.
I felt bad too because I sold a couple of them, and they were like, dude, and I was like, hey man, it happened to me too. I have no idea what to say. I mean, it was inermis. That's how it was.
Yeah, and then like a lot of these form of the Cinerea in here are really nice.
Yeah, I love how flat these ones are right here.
Yeah, and then the Dawn Hunt Cinerea that everyone was after.
Oh yeah. I have a Cranesiana that I got from that auction, and it's in one of his like kind of trademark Don Hunt pots with the like little legs and stuff. It's unfortunately it's about due for a repot. Yeah, it's like not a deep enough pot, and the things I guess I could probably just leave it in there and just torture it forever, honestly.
They like it in the tight pots, man.
You know, I'll post a picture of it. I'll put it in so you guys can see it. There it is. What do you guys think? Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. So, and it's funny. There's a little story. I got into a auction battle with somebody over that plant. And if you're watching the video, you know who you are.
A couple of flatties from Japan.
Good Lord. And these are Cinerea. What? Look at this. This is
super thick spine.
Not just super thick spine, but do you see this
flat.
here? It's almost got like a, you notice it's got like some almost wrinkly, kind of like Godzilla-esque. Did you ever see the picture of the Dale Bada Kiko that I posted once?
Yeah,
That thing was nuts.
Very nice.
Oh my God.
Cinerea Cranesiana hybrid.
Oh, that's cool. That's so weird.
And then this is probably one of the bigger variegated Cinereas that I've seen.
Copiapoas don't variegate in the most jaw-dropping of ways,
No,
you know?
they don't.
Unfortunately.
But
I've
it's
seen a
pretty
couple.
rare. Yeah, it's pretty rare to see.
Is this a Seca?
Yeah, I got
It's so weird. That is so weird that I looked at it and I was like, I feel like I've seen this before.
You can tell his plants.
Yeah, you kinda can, dude. It's just, I don't know what it is. I just look at them like, that's from there.
Yeah, you see these are variegated, but you know, nothing too crazy.
Yeah, I could go for like variegated agaves. There's some really, really nice variegated agaves, and then variegated gymnocalyciums, actually. You know what I'll take variegated of the Copiapoas? Dura. Have you seen a variegated Dura?
No, I haven't.
They variegate almost like, very much like how gymnocalyciums do, where you get that like orange variegation on the darker skin.
Some that everyone seems to be after right now are the Goldies.
It's always funny, the most unattractive ones are like the most expensive and the most desirable. Like Solaris and Goldie, I look at them, I'm like, you know, I could live without it.
Well, so there's subspecies of Longistaminea, and you can definitely see the characteristics.
Okay.
Like you can see how they're different. The spine type is a little different. So they are special.
Where does Goldie where does it occur? Do you know? Are you kind of familiar with the?
These are from
Sifuncho?
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to bust out the book. I
Yeah.
wonder what they cross with. Like I wonder, like I don't mean like hybridize, but I mean I wonder what they co-occur with. You know?
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
This is Punto Altora. I don't know how to say that one. Antofagasta.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then some of the larger specimens here, of course, Longistaminea.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
then Panda Sucar Calma Alba.
That is nuts right there. So you guys may have actually seen these, some of these plants before some of these bigger ones because they were at the Inner City, and they definitely made a little appearance in the Inner City video. Dale Bada.
Yeah.
I love Dale Bada too.
The Bada dichotomy.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Dude. That thing, get that thing into the sun. That thing all white would be like that. That's gonna be
I might move that one outside.
crazy.
And let it take some abuse.
All of these Copiapoas are like condensed into this one area. I don't know that you have more, but this is for sure up there. It's Mesa Gardens, and this is, I can't think of any place I've been that has a more exceptional collection. Like really, I mean, I haven't. And somebody that has such great taste in pottery. I mean, dude, just look at those beautiful black pots right there. You know, shameless self-plug. Make sure you follow me on Palmstreet if you want to buy some of those beautiful black pots. Wow, dude.
Yeah, these ones with all the localities. Part of the most interesting thing for us has been able, getting to see all these different localities. Most of these we didn't even know existed. And then to see the different characteristics that you're getting from it. And then to look at the map and see how close they are to each other. And you can really, see the story being told on why they look the way they do. Some of these locations aren't even there anymore, old dried up riverbeds that the seed was collected from, that the fields don't exist anymore.
Wow.
A lot of these albi spinas in there. We're at the show.
Yeah, right here, that's a nice one.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. That thing's crazy too.
Alba.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is, it's inspiring me. I really want to get one of those things built. I got to do it this year. It's like managing everything by myself is a little tough,
Yeah.
it's a lot of work. But I want to do that because I want to get the Copiapoas out there, and I want to get all of the winter growers out there. Basically all the winter growers. Dude.
Some fun other ones to check out.
This is nuts.
Yeah.
What is this? Is this Cinerea?
Yeah. This is my main flower. Sometimes that'll have over 50 flowers on it at one time. Posted some photos previously, but it's pretty
Do
amazing.
you have any idea how old this is?
The person that I bought it from said that it's 40 plus.
46 years, months. I'm sorry, say again, Cactus?
It's funny. I had made you that last time you had asked me to make you a really big pot. I did. I made that thing. It's the same style, which the style takes forever because every single one of those is like actually hand, carved basically. And it was so big that the thing literally in the kiln, it like dilapidated, and part of the side of the bottom of the pot actually was touching the shelf of the kiln, so it was like all warped, and it had a big like 3-inch crack in one side.
Oh man.
So I was like, nah, dude, I can't. I can't sell it to you. But what's funny is I didn't throw it away or anything. I put a brachychiton rupestris in it. Dude, this is dope. What is this?
This is Cinerea, semi-inermis.
Oh, that's wild. It kind of looks like Dale Bada almost in a weird way, like
yeah.
the spines.
Very compact.
Well, it's the
Stretchy.
sharpness
Yeah.
along the edges where they kind of like come to an angle. That's what. Oh, hey, look, another quest pot right there.
And then how about two down? The big
Dude,
guy,
this
the
thing
big
is.
white guy.
Let's take a look at this real quick. Wow, the spines are awesome. What is this one?
Calm Alba.
So it's not. It's I guess in cultivation where they're getting a little more love, they kind of do a little more because typically in habitat they'll be solitary.
Yeah, from what I see, it's a good mix. Like there's
Yeah.
a lot of single head, but also sometimes I notice like when they get shipped around a lot and they go into a box in the dark for a couple of weeks, they get
stress.
opened up, the stress, and they
Yeah,
pop
yeah,
out. So, a lot of these plants have traveled through a lot of different hands, 40, 50 years.
Oh wow, it's gotten a lot bigger. I remember this one. That's crazy. It's grown. I'm like having a hard time locking my eyes onto one thing at a time, dude. I'm just like looking around. I'm like, I'm keeping I've learned from you guys in the comments, I'm not moving the camera around with my eyes because I know you guys have talked about getting a little dizzy in the past. You are not just collecting these, right? So you're also, obviously with this many plants, you got to sell some.
Yes.
So you're selling plants, but you're also growing them from seed.
Correct.
Let's
Correct.
take a look at some of your seedlings real quick.
Absolutely.
All right, let's
Yeah.
do it. So about how old are these?
These are all ranging from about a year to a year and a half.
And these are Cinerea too, right? Mm-hmm. Those are pretty, dude.
Yeah, the idea behind putting all these plants together and why Marius came on board to help us out is to really put like some of the most impressive specimens in the world of Copiapoa together under one roof and kind of create a new generation of seed, because everything that's out here is kind of like a copy of the same plants that everyone's been selling for a while.
Yep.
And just recently, like Copiapoa has really started to explode and you're starting to see a lot of these new plants.
Yeah.
But it's hard to get enough to flower and start making these seeds. That's kind of the idea. We've got all these beautiful plants together, start making the seeds, start bringing them up. And eventually you'll be able to look at one of these mother plants you like and be able to buy the seedlings. Might end up being single spine. We'll see. Some of these ones that have the long single spine and the short spines, they start to fall off after time. This is a huge Cinerea albispina. And
Oh my
some seed in there. I don't know if it's ready to quite be pulled out, but
I mean, I would pull that seed. It looks ready.
yeah,
It's open.
it's open. Will it?
Dude,
come?
here's the thing. So for me, if I have seed that's ready, if I don't get it the second it's ready, I've never had really, I've been pretty blessed. Mealy bugs, whatever, your normal kind of stuff, but like never had rodents, squirrels, birds, any of the other kind of like really traumatizing pests. I have ants, and these ants, dude, they eat seeds. They do, they eat them. So I will come and be like, all right, cool, look, it's dehisced, it's ready, and then I'll look and I'm like, and it's empty. Oh man.
Yeah, the blue Cinerea, the Don Hunt, a few times I had seed
They've
pods.
got you?
And I usually wait because that like membrane, the jelly that's on them.
Yeah.
If you wait, there'll be little bugs that come in and eat it off. And
Well,
then you'll get nice, clean, dry seeds. So I try and leave it.
Oh yeah, no. So I
But
can't. I
the
will
ants
clean.
will come.
There's no way. If I have to literally get it the second it cracks open. Like if I don't pull it when it cracks, that's it, dude.
They also, I seem to notice if I let it go a little longer, more seed. I get more seeds out of the pods. The earlier I pull the pod, the less seeds are in the pod.
Well, you have to for sure wait until the pod is like, if you try to pull it and it's like not moving, or like sometimes like I'll try to pull it and I'll rip like the top off, but it's not open. It's just like you rip the fleshy part of the top of the fruit off. Then I'm like, okay. And I have already learned my lesson before where I got too eager to like, collect the seeds, and I did it actually with some turbidity carpus. This is like, they're still in the seedling pot and they flower and they've now produced fruits and stuff. And so I was all excited. I was like, oh my God. And I pulled it off, opened it up, and the seeds were clear. I was like, oh, dang. I should have waited.
Yeah. So that's always the thing, trying to decide when to pull or when to wait.
And I try to not go like with bugs and stuff, I try not to go too crazy with the sprays, and I use some stuff, but nothing crazy. I don't go
Yeah,
ballistic.
same here. We don't really have any problems. We keep it pretty clean in here. Occasionally the ants, especially in the summertime when all the flowers are out.
Yeah, so let's talk about the greenhouse just a little bit. So you've got the poly paneling, which I don't know exactly how much these greenhouse panels provide.
25%.
25, and then what do you have for the shade cloth?
Right now, 25%.
Okay, so basically 50%. And then your soil mix, what kind of mix do you have these things in?
So most is in like an 80-20.
Okay.
Yeah, and our inorganic is mainly pumice, lava, and a bit of academia.
And so for your 20, for your organic, what are you using?
We're just using like the E and EB Stone Cactus mix.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
And that seems to be working pretty well. When we get less than 20%, we've got to pick up the watering, or else they start to tighten up. They're not getting enough. So we've been playing with the mix for inside and outside, trying to dial it in. But yeah, that's about.
Yeah, I've grown my collection now in several different places. So I've grown it here in this area. I've grown it in Altadena, and just the house I started Cactus Quest in, gone. It's gone. Yeah. I can definitely see the difference. Yeah. Like I definitely do not have to water things as much. Really, with the Copiapoas, I could probably go a year without watering most of them. Maybe the smaller ones, but I swear to God, man, most of them, like, it doesn't matter how long I go, they never look any different.
Really?
Not really.
That's not.
They'll still
the case.
flower and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
no, out
we
here,
noticed
dude,
right
my
away.
greenhouse, when I lived in Woodland Hills, my greenhouse, which basically is a smaller version of this, dude, it would be 120 plus. Like so you've got fans running. Do these kick on at a certain time, or?
So yeah, we've got them as long as it's above 50, they usually stay on.
Here, let's. Yeah. I'm just trying to get a little fresh air, dude.
You want it on?
Yeah, just trying to dry off. I got a little bit of that Atacama fog that's starting to build up on me, dude. I wanted to dry it off. All right, so these are Schaefer fans. Nice. All right,
And
cool.
then here's the setup. So at 50, it'll kick off. If it starts to get a little cold, we don't want to be blowing the cold air on them. It could get a little chilly in here. But other than that, we run them all the time, keep the airflow circulating. And it also helps kind of keep them dry if there's a lot of moisture.
So, can you move where they're aimed?
Yeah.
So, in my experience, when it's colder and more humid, you want that air moving. That's when you want it. I mean, you always want it moving, but I think you really would want to keep them on then too. Unless you keep it open, I guess it gets
The
pretty
door's
good.
always open.
Okay, so then it gets pretty good airflow.
What I'm worried about is like when it's 45. Yeah, kill it. When it's 45 and the fan's on in here, it's cold.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
cold,
for sure.
and I don't want them to get too cold.
Yeah, for sure.
So, you know, if I'm freezing in here.
Well,
I
the
usually
one
take
thing,
them
I mean, you don't really have to worry about it because they're in the greenhouse, although I guess with it open, it could potentially happen. Like, I know a lot of like farms and stuff, they'll have big fans depending on what they're growing, so that those will kick on if you're gonna get a frost, and that air movement actually prevents the frost from forming on the trees. So, kind of an interesting little tidbit. Dude, this is just an absolutely crazy. It has gotten so much crazier. I'm excited to see as the years go by, because I mean, it's kind of funny. I don't remember, we must have met around 2020, right?
I think 2021, was the first time we met.
Which is crazy, because
It
it's
was
now,
just at my house.
it's now 2025, and it's like, I mean,
Yeah.
the amount of how quick time seems to fly is crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's like, I read something that said, time is the only, currency that we spend without knowing our balance. You know? And I thought about it, I was like, man, I've been thinking about a lot more stuff like that since I turned 40.
Yeah, you and me both.
Just like,
I step in here sometimes, and what I think is the most impressive is there's tens of thousands of years in here.
I mean, you know, that plant could be like 10. You know? I mean, legitimately, it could be. Then that's not even close to an exaggeration. Those plants you saw me get from Blando in the last video were like 6 and 7, 8 years old. And that's the smallest ones were that size. The bigger ones are like,
Yeah, you're
who even
figuring
knows?
Stuff like this is at least 20 years old.
Oh, for sure.
At least 25, 30 years old. And it all depends on how you grow them. You can definitely grow them big, but if you're growing them with the white color.
Like this one
they're
could
gonna
be
live slow.
much younger. That one right there, that could be, because also Hazeltoniana grows faster.
Yep.
And I mean, you know, it depends on how you want it to look. And I look at some people's plants and I'm like, that looks amazing. You know, and I look at other people's plants and I'm like, that just looks more, like, that looks like the thing that it is.
Yeah.
And it's great. Some plants, look, to each his own. You know, if you like the big juiced up like nursery plants and you want them to grow fast and big, that's fine. I mean, everybody has their own tastes. And mine vacillates. Sometimes, like with certain plants, like I don't fertilize my Copiapoas, but I do fertilize other things because I'm like, there are certain things that you can fertilize plenty, and it's just going to make them grow faster. It's not going to make them grow weird. With Copiapoas, it's going to really change the way that they look. And there's a lot of plants that are like that. Like you don't want to, if you over fertilize your turbinicarpus, they're not gonna look like turbinicarpus after a couple of years of that. If you over fertilize your strombo, they're gonna start to like grow tall, and that's not what they are.
And I think like one of the really hard parts about like showing people Copiapoa and talking to people about Copiapoa and even selling Copiapoa is like all these factors have to come into play. Like when you see these really white ones, you're not gonna come across a collection like that. So obviously, you know, if you're buying something like that, it's more expensive. And when people are like, oh, well, I'm buying these Copiapoa from Thailand for $50, it's just hard to explain the difference without being here and seeing it in person. Because when you see it, you can understand.
Well, I think it's also too like maybe people on the newer end of things, you know, like that they just haven't quite seen, because I didn't know initially. Like
neither did we.
I mean, I had no idea. I didn't know any of this stuff, and you know, and really the reality of it is like I've learned. You guys have watched and learned this stuff with me simultaneously in most cases. Like when I'm sitting here picking people's brains, like I'm learning that stuff in real time, just like you guys are. So, you know, as you learn, to me, I think if you love the plants and then you learn about the plants and learning about the plants, you must learn about where they come from. And if you take that into consideration, like it's not too hard to grow the plants in a way that keeps them as representations of what they are. And you can kind of like push up against the limits of growing them faster while still keeping them looking like natural, you know? You can't grow Copiapoas fast and make them look chalky and white. That just doesn't happen. But you can grow them big and relatively quick and for Copiapoas and still have them look good. Absolutely. They're just going to be greener or whatever color they are under that farina. They're going to be more that color. And you know, there's nothing wrong with that.
The toughest part about being relatively new to Copiapoa is that everyone will give you advice, and everybody does it a different way. And if you try to do what everybody says, I've killed plants by taking advice from people, because you've got to find out what works for your setup.
Right.
Like we were talking about, like, you know, if you're in a cooler area, you can get away with not watering in the summer. But extended days of 120 for 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row, we have to give them some water or they will start to burn. The farina will start to crack off. So typically every 2 to 3 weeks in the summer, a little bit of water.
So when you say a little bit, are you like, are you using a watering can? You have a nozzle
So
on the hose?
for those kind of waterings, we're using a watering can. And in
Okay.
here, it probably takes, what, 2.5 hours to water everything by hand, slow. And then Marius has been in here, you know, maybe once a week.
Everybody say hi to Marius.
Partner extraordinaire. And he's been misting.
Doesn't that make you misty?
With a nice fine mister.
So it was agreed that they would start the next morning, which incidentally turned out cold and misty.
Some of these plants, because the more research we do, the more we find out they take in most of their water in the natural habitat through the spines. But definitely about every 3 weeks, give it something.
And are you using tap water? Do you have a
Rainwater.
reverse osmosis,
No,
rainwater?
We've been collecting rainwater.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do
doing
you
about-
fertilize?
No.
No. Okay.
No, nothing is fertilized.
And what about like pests? I mean, from my experience, Copiapoas tend to be, I mean, kind of tough. They don't seem to be super pest prone. I really don't get many pests on them, but do you have any issues?
When the flowers are out, we get a lot of those, the bugs that like the flowers, the little harmless ones.
Yeah.
But we don't put anything on, and once the flowers are gone, they're gone. Other than that, it's just ants. They don't have a lot of issues.
There are certainly species of succulents and there are species of cactus that would present more of a challenge for like a new grower. But one of the cool things about Copiapoas is like they are truly, I mean, I'm biased, but I love them. To me, they're absolutely like just stunning plants. And they are relatively easy to grow. I know that we have been getting into the weeds a bit about like the care approaches and different things you can do to really like get fine-tuned with it and you know, narrow down how you want to grow your plants. That's a different story. But in terms of caring for them, keeping them alive and like not rotting them or having them get infested by bugs, they're pretty solid. They are, especially the hard-bodied ones, which is basically everything in here with the exception. So this would not be, for example, this is a soft-bodied Copiapoa tenuissima, Hypogea, Esmeraldana, not the locality of Copiapoa, but Copiapoa Esmeraldana. And there's a handful of others that I can't think of off the top of my head, but those are the soft-bodied ones. Yeah, Humulus. Well, I think Grandiflora is a form of Humulus, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know, I could be wrong. Or maybe it's the other way around. But anyway, yeah, so they're a relatively, you know, kind of a easier plant for a new person to take on. Now, when I say that, I would recommend starting with a smaller plant because, you know, you're going to spend money on any, I mean, forget like something like that's going to be very expensive, but you'd spend money even on a plant of this size. You're better off if you're just getting into it to start off small, you know, get seedlings and like really like, you know, learn how they grow. Once you feel confident with those seedlings, that's a good time to then say, all right, maybe I can, you know, branch out and get something a little larger because take it from me. You may kill some of the first really nice plants you get, like I did, and
Same
you know, it's easier on the psyche if they're not like the nicest ones you could get, you know. So
Marius Nicolaou, so I'm partnered with Johnny. So one thing we would also really recommend if you're a beginner and want to grow seed in your own plants is buy mating pairs. So we, for example, have a lot of affordable, relatively affordable compared to the bigger ones, plants who you can source exactly to where they came from. Because I don't think that the field number, the benefit that the field numbers give you is quite recognized in.
It's funny you mentioned that because I in 2 videos ago I made a video about a exceptional columnar alba that I got from a really well-known old grower. It's a KK611. So I explained to people like that. What that means is this. And I actually pulled up the field number query online and showed him, like, this shows you where this actually, like, where this plant actually grew, you know? And so you can then know, I mean, if that stuff interests you, you know, which it's surprising to me if you're into collecting plants and that kind of stuff doesn't interest you, but if it does, like, that's a great resource to be able to see and really start to kind of like map out in your mind, like, where are these things?
Yeah, and then the other thing is, like, a lot of these even have the elevation
Nice.
on there as well. So you can start to see how the characteristics change the further up. You know, 1,000 meters is a lot different than
I'm gonna be
40 meters.
walking around, like, I'm gonna be jotting down all the locality info before I go to Chile. Rewatching the video on the plane, like, all right, we gotta go here, we gotta go here.
Crowd pleaser, one of the favorites always has been this one.
Oh yeah.
The short black spine, the multi-head. I think that is, you know, I've had that one for a couple of years now, and that's always been one that people really love. The Columna albas are really beautiful, the color on these guys. The dichotomized pup on this Columna alba, that form. The color on some of these.
Yeah.
And then, like, this big daddy hair.
Dude, this thing right here is ridiculous.
Right?
It's like literally perfect.
Yeah.
Look at that. I mean,
Yeah, as far as Columna alba goes, right? And then you move into Cinerea, like, talk about top forms. I mean, just special.
it's crazy. Like, I'm gonna have, at some point, I'll be an old man, but I'm gonna have greenhouses that look like this, and they're all gonna be my seedlings. I'm gonna be old as hell by that point, but, you know, so it's but you could too. You could too. That's the crazy thing, is they grow. So, you know, the best time to sow seeds of Copiapoas was like 20 years ago. The second best time to sow seeds is today. No, but seriously, and it honestly, like, there's nothing more rewarding than growing these things from seed. It really, like, this is awesome. Don't get me wrong. Like, coming and looking at all these plants is incredible, and I would love to take all of them home with me for sure. But, like, the things I got the most excited about this year in the greenhouse were things that flowered for the first time, which meant that I got to pollinate them for the first time and make seeds from them for the first time. And now I've got generation 1 coming in, and that is, like, to me, that's the most exciting thing. And so, kind of getting back to what Marius was saying, is I buy everything in pairs if I can, and if I can, I'll buy it in, you know, quads or by the flat, ideally, just so you could have tons and tons of seed stock. I make a bunch of seed of something, and then I'll sell, you know, some of them and keep the rest, and, you know, that's what it is. Anyway. If you guys are hungry for more Copiapoa content, you know, let us know in the comments down below. I think we're going to do a pop-up coming up in the beginning of March, so stay tuned for that. And if you guys really want us to do something else, then maybe we'll get together and do a second video. You know, make sure you guys follow John, and he's at LA Cactus Connection on Instagram, and I'll put the link for that in the description below. And until the next time, thank you guys so much for being here. Peace.
Beneath the sheltering wings of their protection, we have come to the end of our quest.
Yeah, quest mode activate, that's right. Have to go straight to the spot where the limestone mound was at. Check the plan scrolling right there. You see a little kind of masters in the crack.